Okay, so I'm going to be super honest with you really quick. You have a lot of dead people. Lots of them. You say you want to talk to a Larry, which sounds fantastic. There's definitely more than a Larry up here. You got a female that had a hard time walking around toward the end. She smells like a classic grandma. I can smell her perfume from here. Very distinct, old-fashioned perfume. I don't know names, but you know what I'm saying. Had a hard time walking around, was probably home until she ended up passing, probably something medical, and she goes, I passed alone, the way I like it. I was like, okay, you seemed very happy, very surprised you said that. So I almost feel like she's got her one spot at the house that she likes. I don't know, she's just comfortable. She's comfortable. A little grumpy, kind of comfortable. I like it. Primary guardian angel for you. She kind of makes me feel like she passes of Cancer, but she's also very stubborn. So I think she'd rather just kind of like sit in her house, you know? Anyways. Anywho, Larry. Comfortable, right? Larry tells me he passes of, kind of feels like it's all kind of centralized in this upper chest area. He goes, it's something we already know about, but it just progresses, Kato. Or like, let's say you have a heat stroke because you're not drinking enough water in the heat. So it's almost like situationally, like you already have a bad heart. Of course you don't drink too much water in the hot. Things are going to happen. So it's a medical thing, maybe something you are, a garden you're not tending to, an underlying situation you're not nurturing for yourself. He almost gives me an analogy like he's at work or going about his own business, and he goes, and then you're done, and then you just overwork yourself, and then you die, and you're like, what'd I do, God? And like, you just overworked yourself. You knew this was coming. It was one of those things. You had to slow down. So he takes partial responsibility for the situation, whether he was working too much, whether he was still recovering from a medical thing, whether he was going above his means on what his body could handle, not listening to his body. Kind of seems like typical dude stuff, like, oh, I'll be fine, I just gotta do this really quick and do, hi Dwayne, I gotta do this really quick and move this and do this and do this and do this and do this, and I forgot water, video game's over. So it's almost like we go, you could have just had a heart attack a week ago, probably shouldn't run a mile, probably shouldn't go move a bunch of heavy stuff, but it just seems like a natural stubbornness and not enough being on it. Okay, so she said, woo, woo. She says that it was too much fluid. So he talks about the upper body, he talks about underlying medical thing. Oh, and then he talks about drinking a bunch of water, and like then all of a sudden, oh, we needed water, it's all over with. Oh, there's fluid buildup, it's all over with. So it's almost like, knowing you have fluid retention, go running around, not nurturing it. So what happened? So too much fluid. So there must have been, the bottom line is, we know we have XYZ, but we're going to ABC. We know we have ABC. We're going to skip to the end. XYZ. We'll recover later. No more recover. You pushed yourself beyond a recoverable limit. That's the responsibility here. Because men be stubborn. Alright, cool. We ain't hating on men, but yeah, you all be a little bit stubborn. Just saying. I take care of one myself. You're a little stubborn. They couldn't get a line in for a dialysis, so he had a heart attack. Wow. Wow. Hey, he talked about the heart attack. He talked about, and you'll see on this piece of paper in a minute too, but he talked about it being centralized in the upper chest and underlying medical thing. Basically, the problem was waiting until last minute. And they couldn't get a line in during dialysis, and he had a heart attack. His body was just overstimulated. Wow. And he tells us he passed in a medical way. He's like, I take responsibility for the situation. And it's a underlying situation I should have tended to. He was a dialysis patient for 26 years, and they couldn't put a line in, right? And he had a heart attack. Right at the end. Over pushing himself right over that line. You got pushed right over that line. That's what it is. You tried to put a line right in, and he ended up getting overstimulated and having a heart attack. I was like, could you have done something to prevent that? He goes, ah. Sure, could have had a bunch of water. Sure, let me change who I am for you for the last 5 years for this one moment of my body being overstimulated. And 26 years for being a dialysis patient is incredible. First of all, that underlying medical stuff, and then, dialysis he's already been going through, and then ends up having a heart attack right in the middle of it. Really amazing communicator. Who'd you say this was again? Your dad? Sorry, I'm going to crunch all my crunchy crunchies. He was in for sepsis after an amputation. And then he had sepsis after an amputation. So that's why his heart's overwhelmed. Then they went to go do dialysis, and then he was already septic, and then his body basically just goes into a state of shock. They were using the line to keep the blood pressure up. So they were trying to restabilize him from some sort of crash, and it was just too late to catch the crash. But he made it 26 years on dialysis, lady. It's pretty great. Pretty freaking great. Who is this? Your daddy? Who is it? Who is it? Tell me right now. Huh. That's amazing. That's amazing, and honestly, I probably am not going to get over it. And you can't make me. Dad. Yay. Cool. Well, you have dreams of him. No, that's valid. He shows me a container of his ashes. He goes, what are you going to do with those? So no, that's valid. If you have ashes, what are you going to do with it? Put it in a necklace or something. You don't just keep a giant, where's my bucket of dad? I'm like, oh, what are you going to do with that? He makes me feel, I don't know if he's calling you out or what. He's like, good, now that we got the formals over, what the fuck are you going to do with that giant box of me? But here's your thingy-majiggy. He loves the way you're choosing to honor his memory. He is, right? Now that we have the formalities done, the hell are you going to do with that giant vase of me? Love it. I love how we just ended on that note. Now that we are all caught up, back to his sarcastic, wonderful, I'm going to drink Mountain Dew for breakfast if I want to. Okay, great. Lots of coffee. And you know what? Coffee on my last day too, please. I'll take a cup. Him too. Coffee on my last